Welcome to Real Estate Meets AI, the podcast where we explore how AI is reshaping real estate, construction, and the built environment one conversation at a time. I'm your host, Sandeep Ahuja, CEO and co-founder of Cove, a full-service architecture practice that runs on AI to drive smarter, faster, and more innovative outcomes. As an architect and building scientist, I've spent the past decade helping teams turn design challenges into data-driven wins. Now, I want to get into the nitty-gritty, the nuts and bolts of real estate, AI, and data that my industry peers and I have cultivated, applying behind-the-scenes knowledge to the trends we see in action today and deliver it directly to you. This podcast is about demystifying AI in real estate, pulling back the curtain to show you the real system, workflow, and decision-making that power our built environment. In each episode, I sit down with industry leaders, trailblazing developers, and tech innovators to unpack ideas, lessons, and real-world stories. You'll hear what's happening, what's working, what's evolving, and what it really takes to lead in an AI-driven world. This is the Real Estate Meets AI podcast. Hello, and welcome to the show. Today, we're diving into AI and real estate, and we have two amazing guests to break it all down. I'm Sandeep Ahuja, and joining me today is Carrie Jackson and Ernie Massei. They're both joining us from different parts of Jamestown, which is a global real estate investment and development firm known for transforming iconic properties and pushing the tech envelope. Carrie is Jamestown's Director of Innovation and Sustainability, driving ESG and tech initiatives across their portfolio. Ernie, he is a close collaborator in terms of product and engineering. He's actually one of the folks that helped build the Jamestown in-house AI chatbot that leads automation and the projects behind the scenes. Basically, these two are making sure the smart in the smart building isn't just a buzzword. Just a little bit about Jamestown. They're a real estate powerhouse with a portfolio of top-tier mixed-use development projects in the US and abroad. Think One Times Square, Chelsea Market, Industry City, Pond City Market here in Atlanta. Jamestown has had a hand in all of those. So if anyone knows where tech meets real estate, I think it's Jamestown. So welcome to this episode, Carrie and Ernie. So great to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
this is going to be fun.
Amazing. So let's kick it off with some fun stuff. We call it the AI meter, no pressure. Where do you think we are as a real estate industry, the entire industry, from a scale of 1 to 5 in terms of our AI adoption, with 1 being we're not doing anything and 5 being we're there? Where do you think we are?
Okay. I mean, I think it's a really tough question because real estate's so broad. I mean, you could have like your mom and pop real estate person, and then you could have a really big company like a Heinz or a Tishman Speyer. But I think on the whole, I'm going to be kind of a pessimist and say we're a 2.5. I think some groups are doing really well and really pushing, but I think overall we have a really long ways to go.
Yeah, so definitely exactly that. I would say the big firms, they've always had like an engineering or like in-house product team. So they already had something ready to go. It is really these like mid-size, mid-large, small that they need to start thinking about their operations and whatever else in terms of a product. And then they just marry that with AI. That's sort of how I see it. It is sort of split.
And I do think there's like a little bit of a nuance. Like when we talk about AI, like AI means a lot of things. Like, are we talking about license plate readers for parking? Or are we talking about generative AI tools? So I think in this context, the way I'm thinking about it is more on like the back end tools to help the company function versus property specific stuff. So that might be like a clarifying thing.
That's insightful. So basically, if I pull out from it, here's what I'm pulling out. It's maybe 2.5 overall, but perhaps for the larger firms that have been investing in AI and being ahead of the curve for perhaps as long as Jamestown has, maybe we're at a 3.5, 4. Is anyone approaching 5? Could we dare to say that today?
I don't think so at this point. I think there's still just so much learning to be done, at least like the understanding I have of where some of our peers are at. And I don't think it's for lack of ambition or excitement or use case. I just think there's complexity. Real estate, these are hard assets, they're physical. You need to have consensus around data. There's, the compliance and legal issues that every firm is dealing with in their own special way. And when it's global, you get GDPR issues with Europe. So I don't think anyone's at a 5 yet, but I'd love to be proven wrong and learn from them.
I love that. So in which areas of real estate, I'm curious, that you're seeing AI make the biggest impact already? So of the folks that are, kind of leading the pack, where is it? What part of real estate? Because just like AI is so broad, gosh, real estate is also so broad.
So my background is in software engineering. So in terms of like all of the back end office work for everyone, automating all of those processes, right? Getting all of the data into one place. All of these things that you can solve for people to make quicker decisions or cut down on manual work. That's where I see it having the most benefit right now. If you can have an engineering team or a tech savvy person on your team to help lead those things, that's where you can get, I would say, like the quickest benefit for your firm or anything like that. So me, it's a software-based thing because now you can marry product development with AI so you can get products out really fast. That before you had to have a big team, you have to have a ton of people that the big companies kind of had, but now this is sort of going to the smaller to the mid-size.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Obviously, as an AI architecture firm ourselves, I mean, we're a startup, but we use Cursor. We love Cursor. Then the speed
Mhm.
at which we're able to get products out to our architects to use, it's insane. Like they'll spot a problem and bam, like not a week later, even definitely not a month later, it'll be a day later. There's a solution. And that's likely what you're referring to.
Yeah, because I definitely came from the software world where you had to have a gigantic team and you have PMs and QA and all of this stuff, and it took months to put something out. Now it's like a day or two. It's extremely fast.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is just like at this point, it's just the basics. Like you're talking about, what are some of the most exciting, amazing things out there. But to me, where we're at with AI with some firms, and like I think we've at Jamestown, we've done a lot of training and evolved and moved in a really good direction. We can share the work we've done. But to me, it's the equivalent of like, at least with generative AI, teaching people how to use it the same way they know how to use Excel. And so some of the things that we're allowing people to do seem very rudimentary, but they're improving workflow, productivity, giving people time back so much more. Using just basic things that we're all kind of learning how to do with ChatGPT.
Totally, totally. Couldn't agree more. So obviously, I know Jamestown is extremely forward thinking. I mean, you launched the Innovation Ideas program to crowdsource tech ideas from employees. Obviously, I think that signals AI being a big part of the priorities. Is that roughly correct? Is that a correct takeaway?
That AI is a big priority for the company.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the way I view our tech and innovation program, there's stuff we can do with the assets, but then there's so much we can look inward and improve as a company. And we kind of see it in multiple ways. But first and foremost, like AI, yes, is a priority. I think the number one priority, though, is getting our data organized, clean, good governance system, having the right practices and controls in place. And as Ernie said, then you can layer on automated automation, software tools, and then you can layer on the AI within it. So, Ernie, you can add to that.
Yeah, so it's an entire like reworking of the way that you do like back office stuff, right? Before, old world trade around a bunch of Excel spreadsheets, maybe you have a database, maybe you have a ERP thing. Now it's more like, okay, how can we consolidate all of this? Let's take out the manual steps, let's take out the data massaging. How do we create these data pipelines to where there's a single source of truth? And this was sort of even before AI, like this was a sort of product thing that companies were having to deal with. And so now with the AI part, it is a much bigger deal. One, you can get it to market faster. Two, you can have the visibility into this because now you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. You have good data. Now you can ask questions about the data and then have that inform your decision making. So,
Yeah.
I mean, all of that.
So kind of taking, kind of a step closer to the problem, and real world examples that you guys are solving. So I get the sense, obviously, data is always critical. With no data, there is no AI because then you ask it things and it gives you dumb answers. And that's no fun for anyone. So totally makes sense that data is a key part. But I'd love to learn about a real world example where y'all were able to build something or use something or create something that actually brought some tactical value to Jamestown or the people that you serve or whoever. Like it brought value to someone somewhere in the world. I'd love to learn about that.
Yeah, we can talk a little bit about what we did with our internal tool, ChatJT, which is our internal ChatGPT system. So, high level, 2 years ago, I think it was, ChatGPT came out. I remember it was right before Christmas, I think. And we sat down and we were like, we need to figure out how we bring this to our company. It's so powerful. How can we do this in a way that makes sense? And it started this whole process of letting leadership know the advantages and the benefits and working with legal and compliances on the challenges and like all the different pieces around IP, wanting to have proprietary data stay in house. And so we really got to understand the public systems and the limitations of those. And kind of at the same time, got to start working with Ernie, who really unlocked this for us and helped us figure out we have all these considerations and challenges and why we can't use the public systems, but we want to get the benefits out of them and we know there's huge value and we want to move fast. So Ernie helped us figure out how to make a tool that works for Jamestown. And so I'll let Ernie kind of drive it from here, but it was like this big thing happened in the public, which was incredible. And we also happened to have the ability to work with someone who was an awesome product and engineering person. And so it was very serendipitous. It's all happened at once for us.
So you have to look at my background as sort of merging the series stuff with like high amount of like engineering knowledge, right?
Mm.
So cloud, code, the like whole thing. And also the sort of awareness of the legal issues, like how you actually bring this thing to the company, how you talk to people about the product, how you solve their concerns, how you merge that in with the product itself, right? So we went the route of setting up all of this in Azure using their enterprise system, using all of the OpenAI stuff provided through Azure, and then keeping all of that in-house, right? So not going to a vendor, not going to a agency. All of this was in-house development, which was kind of different for Jamestown. They hadn't really done stuff like this before. So if you know these types of firms, these sort of mid-sized firms, they vendor out a lot of it, right? And so we had some benefit here. We can develop a super bespoke product and we can check all those legal boxes. And then the cost is just basically the cloud costs and the labor. There's no real ongoing vendor cost. And so we're able to pivot the product according to whatever anybody wants. And so again, I already said this, but like the AI portion makes that velocity really fast. We want this chat service to process documents. Okay, done. Not a couple months, like a couple weeks. We like wanted to do charts and graphs, same sort of thing. So we're able to move really, really quickly.
That's really interesting. I will say that I have heard about legal and compliance in the last, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes of this call, more than I have in most calls. Help me understand a little bit more about what's the legal challenges around the proprietary data that you were going to load into the system and just the concern and fear around, what the public sector might do with it because it's your data.
Well, there's a bunch of stuff, and I don't know if it's necessarily unique to us, but it's certainly something we care a lot about. So it's not that our data is like unique in any specific way, but essentially, like most companies, we would never want to have any sort of proprietary data in a public system in a large language model.
Definitely.
So that was a big reason to when we built ChatJT to keep it within our Microsoft Azure instance. But we also wanted to be very clear that no IP, not just IP, but no personal identifiable information was going into this system, even if it was within our own bounds. We wanted to be very mindful of that. So if it's a leasing document with someone's name and phone number, like that was out of the policy. We needed to make sure that was really crisp and clean.
It's kind of that commitment as a company to anyone
Yeah.
that does business with you, works for you, works within the company that no, 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 we're not trusting the security of your data to someone else. We are securing it because that's just who we are.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a new industry. Generative AI is brand new. And so you want to be cutting edge on some things, but you also want to be really smart on other things because this is, investor data or this is, someone's name and phone number. What's been a fun process in this over the past few years has been working with legal and compliance on this and, just getting to know each other and having these monthly meetings and doing demos with them and walking through all the considerations. And it's been both our US team, but also our Europe team, which adds a whole other level of complexity of what they need to see and achieve. And then on top of all that is then adding in, the training and education for the company on these tools and how our system is unique from the public versions. And so I think for anyone embarking on this journey, like the working group has to have legal compliance, IT, privacy, whoever is involved on that. And it has to be a real, like, collaborative, positive partnership to
Couldn't agree more.
make things work. Yeah.
That makes so much sense. You talked a little bit about these monthly work sessions. And then as you were going past that, you also mentioned rollout sessions or training sessions. I'd love to learn about the whole process of rolling out something like this to a company the scale of Jamestown and kind of what that looked like, what it took, all the different, probably many types of stakeholders in addition to even legal and clients that you had to get. Yes, this is cool. You can go do this or whatever, like it's no joke to implement something of this scale. I'd love to learn a little bit more about that.
Yeah, and I think it's still a work in progress. I mean, you can never be perfect at rolling anything out or training anybody, but again, I think this was 2 years ago. I'm really the time is just I don't know what time is.
Yeah, totally.
We created the tool. And this was V1 of ChatJT. Ernie created the tool, and we did a global rollout, full company presentation. In advance of it, we did a series of sessions with leadership where we really, really like demystified generative AI to everyone, explained what it was, explained large language models, talked through the challenges like hallucination. Like we really explained all of it. We did different breakout groups on use cases and like did these really interactive Zoom sessions. I think we did a couple of them. And then we did a full company rollout where, again, we talked through use cases. Ernie did a live demo, which is always really stressful to the whole organization. It was like 500 people. And then we went department by department and did, again, trainings with them and did breakout groups. And we're very specific with each department on what use cases that we thought were most valuable for them and kind of as prompts to help them think more about it. And we continue to do all company new hire training, but the training's been it's hard to do right, and I think it's something we just need to continuously do. And Ernie can speak to this, but we have our power users and then we have some people who never touch it, and it's trying to figure out how
That
do
sounds
we.
like any software.
Yeah, exactly. But Ernie, had anything I missed?
Yeah, so like definitely all hands, big rollout. Everyone's on this thing. Show everyone what it can do. And then we have new hire training and we have sort of what we're calling like power user or like advanced user training. And so we hear the use cases that people are doing and we try to surface them to other people. And so this is a different way to work. Like you have your chat service open with you as you're working. And if you have a question, you have a blocker, it goes to that chat service and showing people how this can write your Excel formula. This can help you answer questions. This can help you drive analysis, right? This is just another tool. And we need to have them integrate that with their everyday.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's just how it is.
And we did some special follow-on sessions with our CEO. Like we sat down and reviewed stuff with him. And like what's been fun on this also is it's been a really collaborative effort. So it's the two of us, but then we also have another woman on our team, Maddox Grimes, who supports. We have someone who was on the investor relations team who was like just really into AI. He supported us 10% of the time and got really into it. And he helps do training. So it's a really fun effort where, you have people who are just enthusiasts. And Jamestown's been awesome about saying like, yeah, it's fine with us for them to contribute to this. It's visible for them. It's good for their professional development. So we have this like a little ragtag army of people working on this.
That's really amazing. That's the one thing that I've seen again and again. Obviously, as a founder of multiple companies myself, I can say that the innovation, it really thrives when folks are let be free and creativity is encouraged. And it's like, well, that's okay. There's no bad consequences. And it sounds like it's that beautiful, safe space that's been created to experiment. Because devoid of experiment, there's no innovation. Devoid of failure, there's no discovery. So it sounds like it's been a really fun journey.
Yeah, it's good. And I mean, I'm doing this all with this working group that we have. I think that's been what's so powerful with the legal compliance piece. Yeah, that we have these strict guardrails, but yeah, within that, there's creativity and what's the roadmap that we build and how do we work with the teams to figure out new use cases.
Makes sense. Now, obviously, you mentioned that this was a couple of years ago. I think you know where I'm going next. Is there anything more recent, more behind the scenes, something that you can give us a peek into? Not necessarily like an actual visual peek, but an idea peek. Like, what are you guys working on now?
So the way this is working itself out, so definitely there's the chat service, chat JT, and that's getting features, right? So charts and graphs, you get to see what you want to see. It'll go out, look for new data on the internet using Azure's Bing grounding, right? So you're getting more features there. But what sort of happened in tandem with that is now other teams are like, well, can you build me this? And it's not a part of the chat service itself. It's just a feature for them, least abstraction. So this was a big one. I got on a call, we were with the vendor, and I'm asking them sort of technical questions, right? I'm like, how does this work, right? And I'm like, okay, that doesn't sound too bad in terms of creating a product. I just created a function for it on Azure, less than 200 lines of code. it does what we need it to do. So this is what I'm saying. You can build stuff bespoke that typically you would go to a vendor before. And this is happening in sort of many different levels. People are like, oh, so you built this chat service. Can you build me this? It's like, yeah. And then that's the same product cycle, right? Meet with the stakeholders, exactly what they want, build it, and then they
Sounds
get
like
it.
a lot of mini products almost that kind of tie everything together to solve point problems, like for that group or for that person or that team.
Yeah, and I think that that's where I mean, I said this when I started. I think that's the biggest value add right now is that you have these manual processes. Okay, just automate that thing, and then you just save someone, I don't know how many
Yeah,
hours,
each
right?
time you do it, even if it takes you a whole day to code it or your team a whole day to code it, and then if that manual process even saves, I don't know, 2 hours for some one person in a day or a week, that's done forever.
And like also what's kind of weird is like because you're going through this product cycle with this person, you are documenting everything. So now you have this hyper rich like data source about how they think about leases, how they would write them, what are they thinking about, right? So now you have that data source with the product that then you can plug that into a chat service and you can ask questions. Well, how would you write this lease? And now you get that. So you get a couple of things.
I love that.
That's where it's been really helpful having Ernie with his background from CrowdStreet in that he understands real estate, but also understands the technical pieces. So he can sit
Exactly.
down with our lease admin and really walk through, hey, what are the processes you do? And just sit with her week after week and continue to iterate on the product. I think that's a really critical part is really understanding, as he said, like pulling out the real use case in the process and documenting that.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's switch gears a little bit. Let's move into the fun rapid fire section of the podcast. So these are like one word, one line answers, not designed to be very, very long, and they're a little bit more personal questions about you. So take it in whichever order that you guys like it. Okay. So are you an office early bird or a night owl when it comes to getting work done?
Both. All of them.
I think it depends on our children's schedules. I think that's,
Yeah.
we
That's
both have
about
young children.
yeah.
Oh gosh, now you sound like a founder to me.
Yeah.
It's yeah, when it was camp this summer, I was in early. Now it's school, I am working late. So it really depends.
Okay, Phil, fair enough. What's one tech tool or app that you can't live without?
So like definitely any sort of CLI tool that you can use to build products. So we can actually hook it up like a CLI code editor to our Azure instance, right? So you can now use that ability to scan your code base, but it's staying within our tenant, right? So like you still get the benefit while you're still maintaining the security.
I'm gonna be super lame and just say ChatJT. I think it's just or any any generative AI
Chat
chat
JT,
tool.
that is the one.
It's
Okay, well, fair enough.
it's so useful.
You poured hours and weeks and months and years of your life into it. I think you get to say it.
Yeah, very useful.
Well, if you weren't a tech leader in real estate, what alternate career do you see yourself in?
Probably some other form of software engineer, right? It's just because of my background, I gravitated towards real estate, engineer, and some other sort of tech company. So it sort of go over there.
Yeah, I'm a little bit different on my end. I came into this space because I'm just fascinated with innovation and the built environment. And early on, just always thought how technology and physical spaces interact was fascinating. But when I think about innovation today, I think it's more about how do you really just improve people's lives. And in that respect, it could be getting people away from technology a lot more. And so, how can people be more present in the real world, have healthier lifestyles, healthier life? And so, one of the things I've been dying to do is actually think a little bit more about kids and how do we get kids away from technology and being in in nature and physical spaces. And so, that's something I'd probably do if I wasn't in this job.
So like camp leader Carrie?
Yes, camp leader Carrie.
I
Yeah,
love that.
but that's kind of a good point, right? Like if we get more time back from AI, where are we going to put that time? Our families, our kids, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Well, here's the final takeaway. Obviously, given the fact that, you've been driving innovation in the industry, that's not always quick to change. You've seen successes, you've seen challenges along the way. What's one piece of advice that you'd leave with other business leaders out there that are navigating rapid change and the rise of AI within their organizations?
So I'll say like get leadership buy-in. That's the most crucial thing for me. Like it's the second we explain this use case, where we're going, why this makes sense, and they were like, okay, do it. That was everything that we needed. Because we knew what we were doing. We knew how to solve this use case, but we needed to get that leadership buy-in. And then once we were left to be free to figure out these use cases and solve them and like deliver a product, the like results were there.
And I think building on that, I mean, there's a lot of advice I'd give, but assuming you have leadership buy-in, I think then go after the quick wins. Like get something small, get a win on the books, make it publicly visible within the company, champion the team, get the all company presentation, doing it in a really visible way, and then move on to the next thing. Don't try to boil the ocean with a ChatJT that has a million bells and whistles. Like do the basic thing, do the training, get the results, and have some proof points around that, and then just keep going and going and going. And you're gonna have that really good feedback loop. But I think where people get bogged down sometimes is trying to do like way too much, and then you get sidetracked really easily.
It's all about the MVP, the minimum viable product.
Yeah, but that's a new term for people in real estate. They don't know that, and so it's explaining that okay, this isn't going to be perfect, but it's going to be a win, and you're going to have this, and you're going to be able to work on that.
Yeah.
I think that's big.
I love it. Well, Carrie, Ernie, thank you so much for popping on and sharing your words of wisdom. I know that I've certainly learned a lot. I hope so has our audience. That's everything we had for you today.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Real Estate Meets AI podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe to the Real Estate Meets AI podcast on your favorite streaming platform and follow us on social media at cove.inc. Until next time, I'm Sandeep Ahuja.